All right, Bryn, we miss you. And that's it, right? Okay. Here we are. Law of science is called the ambiguous case, all right? For some people, this is the most difficult part of their test. If you turn to the very back side of your notes, you're going to see this piece right here. Everybody familiar with that? Let's get familiar with it, okay? Remember from geometry, if you wanted to prove congruence between two triangles, angle, angle, angle was not sufficient, was it? Because if you had angle, 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 you could have a 60, 60, 60 and another 60, 60, 60, and you know those aren't congruent. You have to at least know one side, otherwise they're just similar, they're proportional, but they are definitely not congruent. So as you can see from the decision tree, angle, angle, angle does not work. Angle, angle, side, as you look at that, if you know two angles, do you know the third angle? So it's really angle, 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 side. That's really what it is. And that's enough to prove congruence. So you use the law of sines, just like we did the other day. Angle, side, angle. You have, again, three angles because you can find the other one. So again, I use the law of sines. The question is, what do you do if you're given two sides and an angle, which spells that naughty word backwards? And so, what do we do about that? And that's really the confusing piece. So you can see this chart here as you follow it down. You kind of look at this. It says, well, if the side opposite the angle is shorter than the other given side, or if the side opposite the angle is the other given side, longer than the other given side, you can either come up with one solution, no solutions, or two solutions. And we have to figure out which is which. So let's just lay it all out here and understand. First of all, I've realized that some people don't know this part, which is foundational. Okay, let's say that this is 10 and this is 30 degrees and this is 9. All right, is that side angle side, or is that side side angle? Which is it? Why is it side angle side? Angles in between the two sides. If you draw the angle 30 degrees, it makes up those two sides that you're given, right? Whereas if I had this, if I had 10, 30 degrees, and this was 9 over here, draw your angle. The angle does not make up that side 9, does it? So therefore, this one side angle, this one side angle side. Every year when I teach it, there's somebody in class, the question came up first hour and second hour. Are we all clear there? Remember that? That's paramount to moving forward. That's my new word for the day, paramount. Let's do it. Opposite leg is shorter, side angle. What do? I'm going to draw a picture here. I'm going to have 40 degrees, side 10, and it says opposite leg is shorter than the other given side. You give me a length that's going to be shorter than the other given side. 9. Great. We'll use 9. Let's use it. Now, the reason why I drew a dotted line there is because I didn't know for sure how far that would go, because it's not given. I was given the 10, I was given the 9, I was given the 40 degrees. Does everybody see that this is a side angle situation? All right, so that's one triangle. We'll call it the red triangle. I'm going to draw another triangle that has an angle of 40, a side of 10, and a side of 9 that's different than that one. I'm going to swing this thing on a pendulum. Booyah. How do you like that? It's still got a length of 10 over here, doesn't it? It's still got a side of 9 here, and it's still got an angle of 40 right there. So you can see I have the green triangle and I have the red triangle. Now there's a number of things that change with the triangle. 2 of the angles change and 1 of the sides change. But what I really want you to focus on is that angle right there. Is that angle acute or obtuse? Acute. Angle there, is it acute or obtuse? Obtuse. Obtuse means you are larger than 90, but less than 180. Which quadrant is greater than 90, less than 180? Quadrant 2. Which quadrant is acute means you're less than, but greater than. Which quadrant is that? Quadrant 1. Which quadrants is sign positive? 1 and 2. See, if sine is equal to, say, 0.8, look at this. You're solving for an angle here, right? So let's say sine of b, you come up with equal to 0.8. Well, sine is 0.8 in quadrant 1. It's also 0.8 somewhere in quadrant 2. Sine is equal to 0.8 for an acute angle in quadrant 1. It's also equal to 0.8 for an obtuse angle in quadrant 2. And we don't know which one we're talking about. So we have to set up triangle 1, and we have to set up triangle 2, and solve each one. 2 solutions. Now, we're going to go through this whole process. Trust me, you'll get walked through it. But the key is, do you see why you can come up with 2 solutions? You see that pendulum swing? See how I did that? All right, so let's do one where you got no solution. No, you're not tired. You're rearing to go. You love math. Thought about it all weekend, admit it. Ooh, liar. All right, so we got 40, we got 10, there you go. All right, now, it says opposite leg is shorter. You give me a length opposite 40 that is shorter than the other given side, but not only is it shorter, it might be too short to make a triangle. Are you sure that 4 is small enough? Are you confident? 0.4, 0.7, there you go. Yeah, more like it. How about 1? I mean, let's just choose an easy value like 1. So if I draw, let's see, we're going to take Caitlin, Larson, you tell me here, okay? Tell me when you think that this is approximately a length of 1, okay? Shorter or longer? Ooh, it's pretty short, isn't it? So I swing back and forth, like, oh no, I can't reach the bottom, right? It's trying to reach the bottom, but there's nowhere it can reach the bottom, can it? It's just way too short. Too short. It's not a possible triangle. Too short. Well, here when you set it up and you go to solve and everything, and you get sine of b is equal to something, you're solving for an angle. Here's what's going to happen. What's the biggest value that sine can be? 1. What's the smallest? -1, right? So 1 and -1. You're going to come up with sine equal to, like, say, 6.48. And then you're going to go on your calculator, you're going to go sine inverse of, 6.48, and you're going to get no solution. Because that's just not possible. And that's the calculator's way of telling you, hey, you got too short of a side. And you might be like, well, we never learned that in geometry. Yes, you did. One of those sets is a possible triangle. One of them's not. Which is which? Bottom one's not a possible triangle. Why? 2 is too short. Why? Okay, so when you add 2 sides, 10 plus 6 is 16. Is that bigger than 7? 6 plus 7 is 13. Is that bigger than 10? 10 plus 7 is 17. Is that bigger than 6? So therefore, this works out. Well, look at this one. 10 plus 5 is 15. Is that bigger than 2? 10 plus 2 is 12. Is that bigger than 5? 5 plus 2 is 7. Is that bigger than 10? Doesn't work out. So you talked about triangles that can work and triangles that can't. So We've seen that before. Let's do one more. Where are you? There you go. Okay. Opposite leg is longer. All right, you give me one where the opposite leg's longer. 17, 15, wow. I'm going to go with 17. 20 was the most popular answer for previous hours. Okay. What do you think? If you swing this on a pendulum, okay, you're not going to fit it in that given area, okay? I guess you might end up over here, but if you end up with a 40-degree angle, it's going to make the same one as what you had before. The problem is that, you know, you can't maintain that 40-degree angle as you swing the pendulum, okay? As I swing it, eventually I run out of my 40-degree angle. It just doesn't work anymore, okay? So, just doesn't work. You only get the one solution. Boring. Just solve. Let's try these 3 examples. You'll be set to go. We classify each one. We solve each one. As easy as that. I start by drawing the triangle. A, B, and C. A, B, C. A is 42 degrees. B is 12. And A is 22. I don't make a real accurate sketch because right now all I'm trying to do is classify which of the 6 situations I have. So, which one do I have? Side-side angle. Is everybody convinced that that's side-side angle? All right. I've got side-side angle. So now I go down my decision tree and it says, well, let's look at that opposite leg. Is the side opposite the angle longer, or is the side opposite the angle shorter than the other given side? Side opposite the angle is longer than the other given side. So I go to my decision tree. It says side opposite angle is longer over here. And so this is the path I take. Right down here, through here. It says one solution, use the law of sines. One solution. No problem. Let's do it. A, B, C, A, B, C. What's angle A? 42 degrees. That's the only angle I know. I know side A is 22 and side B is 12. So, let's set it up. What are you going to use? Law of sines. Sine of A, which is 42 degrees, divided by 22 is equal to sine of C or B? B, because you know side B, divided by 12. Are you solving for an angle or a side? An angle. So that's, you're going to use an inverse, right? We got to use sine inverse here in a little bit. Cross multiply. 12 sine 42. And you're going to divide by 22. And you get 0.36498, whatever. So sine of B is equal to that. Inverse 21.40. Is that a length or is that an angle? It's an angle. Which one is it? B. What can I now find? C. Hey, where'd you go? All right. 180 minus 42 minus 21.41 equals 116.59. Can you now find side C? Sine of 42 degrees divided by 22 is equal to sine of 116.59 divided by C. Solving for a side or an angle. Side, so I don't have to do sine inverse. 22 sine of 116.59 divided by sine of 42. 29.40. Emily, can you confirm our answers? Oh, I thought you were already done. I'm sorry. Put you on the spot that way. All right. Can anybody confirm our answers? Yep. Very good. All right. Reasonable check. Here you are. C is 116. C is 29. Biggest angle, biggest side. B is 21. B is 12. Smallest angle, smallest side. It doesn't tell us that we're definitely correct, but it does tell us that we're reasonable in our solutions. Any questions? That's exactly what we did last week, correct? So, oh, nobody was gone last week. See, other classes, people have been gone. So, all right. That's why you guys are so much smarter. You don't leave. Okay, let's do this one. Oh, done. And for the test, this is what I do. I just give you the triangles. You got to be able to figure out which case it is. You got to know. Yes. Yeah. And so some people say, they're like, Mr. Gens, I don't know how to read that. That's fine. You don't have to use this at all. Just go ahead and make your own. And learn how to do it. I think that for most people, this is the easiest way to understand it. If you can't figure it out, you got to either figure it out or come up with your own way of doing it. But that's the best way I've been able to teach it. And it's been able to work for a lot of people. I used to use this, you guys, during the regular track trigonometry. So I've taught both the college level as well as the regular track trig, and I got people to be able to do this. And so this is, I think, a very helpful piece. We'll talk about the other equations later. Okay, here we go. A, B, and C. A is 85, side A is 15, and side B is 25. Let's classify which of the six. Side angle. So I start here. Is the side opposite shorter? Is the side opposite longer? The side opposite is shorter than the other given side. Ooh, where does that lead us? Okay, it's the side opposite angle is shorter. So I go down here. It says when solving for the missing angle, if sine is greater than 1, then there's no solution. When solving for the missing angle, if sine is less than 1, then there are 2 solutions. So it looks like I need to start solving for sine and see what I come up with. Let's set it up. Sine of what? 85 divided by 15 is equal to sine of B divided by 25. Okay, solving for an angle or a side? Angle. I'm going to cross multiply. 25 sine of 85 divided by 15. Now I've got 1.66. 1.66 equals sine of B. Now, remember, we just came off the decision tree there. It said when solving if sine is greater than 1, or when solving sine is less than 1. What do I have? It's greater than 1, so therefore you have no solution. If you were to take your calculator and go sine inverse of that answer, you would get domain error. Here's what a lot of people do, okay? A lot of people get 1.66, and then they do inverse, and they're like, oh, well, maybe I wasn't supposed to inverse. So then they switch 25 to 1.66. They're like, it must be a side then and not an angle. They can get confused whether they're solving for a side or an angle. See what I'm saying? And so they'll be like, oh, no, I don't know how to work through this. So they'll just, like, switch them up. Can't do that. Totally illegal. No solution. Got it. And so we have the last one. That's why we have extra space. Which one do you think this is going to be? Congratulations. A, B, C. 20.5, 12, 31. Which of the six is this? Side angle. I move down here. Is the side opposite the angle longer or shorter? Shorter. Ooh, so now I have to solve for sine. If sine is greater than 1, no solution. If sine is less than 1, there are 2 solutions. So let's set it up. Sine of 20.5 over 12 is equal to the sine of B over 31. Uh, 31 sine 20.5 5 to 12.9047. I solved for sine of B. Is sine of B greater than 1 or less than 1? It's less than 1. So therefore, I have 2 solutions. At this point, set up 2 possible triangle solutions. That's what it says. So that's what I'm going to do. Triangle 1, triangle 2. A, B, C. A, B, C. A, B, C. A, B, C. In both scenarios, what's A? 20.5. I don't know any other angles right now. I know side A is 12 for both. I know side B is 31 for both. There you are. I'm almost done solving for angle B. This is the critical part. Sine is positive in the first quadrant and the second quadrant, and it has a value of 0.9047 for some angle here and for some angle there. The reference angle. Remember talking about reference numbers? This is now a reference angle. We will calculate the reference angle by doing an inverse, second sine inverse of your answer. 64.78. That's one of the angles. But this has a reference angle of 64.78. This angle over here also has a reference angle of 64.78. But when you talk about this angle right here, people, this angle, yeah, the reference angle is 64.78, but you don't actually say that that angle is 64.78. The red arrow shows you the actual measure of that angle. How would you find out the measure of that angle? What would you do? Yeah, subtract it from 180. Very good. So I go minus 180, and I'll get the negative, but 115.22. That's what we get. Okay? So 115.22 degrees. That's your red marker there. So now I've got my 2 angles. Remember, look, one is acute, one's obtuse. If you remember from the previous picture that I showed you guys, look at the red triangle and the green triangle. The red one has an acute angle, the green one has an obtuse angle. That's what we're just setting up right now, the red triangle and the green triangle. That's the whole point. Go back to work. Let's solve these. What can I now find for both of these? Yep, they're going to be different for each one. But that's okay. 180 minus 64.78 minus 20.5. 9472. And I do the same thing for the other one. 180 minus 115.22, and then I subtract off 20.5, and I get 44.28. Is that what you guys got? What's the last thing I have to find? Side C, Pythagorean theorem, right? Why not Pythagorean theorem? Not a 90-degree triangle. Very good. So instead I use the law of sines. Now before you say, oh, come on, it really is kind of a nice formula, isn't it? I mean, it's better than the quadratic formula, isn't it? So we say, yay, I get to use the law of sines. Joy. Sine of 20.5 over 12 equals the sine of 94.72 over C. We're solving for a side, so you're going to use sine inverse. No sine inverse. $34.15. I knew my answer was going to be greater than 31. How did I know that? Yep, biggest angle, bigger side. And then over here, same thing, sine of 20.5 divided by 12 is equal to sine of 44.28 divided by C. Where am I? Oh yeah, there we are. Clear. 12 sine 44.28 divided by sine 20.5, and we get 2392. Does that make sense? That it should be 2392? Middle angle, middle side. So that's my solution, is the two sets. I gotta have both, otherwise it's wrong. If you only get one of them on a test, you only get half credit, 2 out of 4. I'm a stickler when it comes to points. Your assignment. 15 through 22. You have all day tomorrow to work on it because I'll be gone at track meet. You understand? 9 o'clock. Get out at 8:30, leave at 9. Yep, I'm going to set out the answer keys from the book so you can check. And that's that. 8 problems. Bye, Brendan.